Number 17, emails. Emails.
Thank you. I introduced this, and I think we're all well aware of the topic of how these, what the topic of these emails that were sent off to the media were all about. So I'm not going to discuss that. I guess my issue is that the city manager had very definitely, well, number one, I mean, somebody doesn't have a lot of courage if they don't speak to the rest of council or to the city manager, but I did put that in an email. I don't know if the media have it or not, my thoughts as far as the person who forwarded this on. But the city manager in her second email did indicate very clearly that this email may not be forwarded to anyone for any reason without express written permission of the author. And I guess the concern is that over the years, we all have expected that that would be a binding comment, that legally one cannot forward emails on, and certainly we have been advised as council, and our staff have been advised, that if any email is received in our offices with that indication, that we have to ask permission of the author of the email before we can forward it on to staff for any action or or to deal with it. So what I'm looking for is, what is the legal situation on something that, on an email that comes in, or a letter, or any correspondence, I guess, whichever way it comes, that has that disclaimer or claimer on it, that this may not be forwarded on. Maybe Mary Ellen, you can help me out with that.
Now, generally in our bylaws we have provisions that deal with in-camera reports and provisions that deal with some confidential material, but it's not as much a legal requirement as it is a council policy on some of those. Those disclaimers, as you've indicated, are very common and used by just about anybody, and that will go to the weight of a document if it's distributed to someone and gets into the wrong hands in a court situation. However, and that's because the ownership remains with the person who wrote the document and who said it can't be forwarded. However, there is no legal violation if that request is not respected.
So it's really professional courtesy, I guess. I guess we're all been reading about Wikipedia leaks and all of that sort of thing. But there is a council policy that pertains to staff. I guess we sometimes as council believe we're above city policies and procedures. So there is no legal recourse on this, as I'm understanding. But if it did go to court, it would have there would be some weight attached because that disclaimer was in place?
It would certainly be one of the things that the court would look at if it got into the wrong hands, yes.
Okay.
But again, it's not something that would be the subject of a charge. In this case, we do have, for example, a respectful workplace policy.
Exactly.
We do have provisions in our code of conduct that talks about respect for the city's bylaws and policies, and there are similar provisions like that. But it's not something that would lead to charges that would go to a court. Okay.
Then I know that Councillor Sato was going to suggest that maybe this is a matter that the Integrity Commissioner can take a look at. I'd also like to ask, though, and maybe this would be the role of the Integrity Commissioner, if Council could support a review or a search of computers, fax machines, printers in leadership team's office. And I know the city manager did say she asked all of the leadership team, who said no, but in fairness, I think, and council's office, that would be something I'm sure that would be a council resolution, and I'd be willing to put that forth if council would support it. would that be something that would come before the Integrity Commissioner to sort of approve or not approve, or is that something that we can, as a matter of course, we have the authority as council to do today?
In terms of your first question with respect to this going to the Integrity Commissioner, I believe that would be an appropriate step to take. I know at the City of Toronto, for example, there have been a number of matters dealing with leaked documents and communications that have been referred to Integrity Commissioners. With respect to an investigation of the electronic equipment, Council passed a policy on that last year. However, Council is the ultimate authority, and Council, if Council chooses that those matters be looked at, then they certainly can.
Okay,
it's city equipment.
You're verifying what I'm saying. It is Council decision. Okay. Well, I'm prepared to put forward that motion at the appropriate time.
Councillor Mahoney?
Thank you, and it's very encouraging to hear the words of all of my colleagues on this matter, those that have spoken. With respect to what I wanted to speak to is with respect to, I guess we can't deal with a resolution at General Committee in order to do an investigation of technology equipment. So I guess I put it on the agenda, but it won't get dealt with until next week at Council. So maybe I can make this a notice of motion for Council, and I can have someone help me draft that motion for Council. But in the meantime, as an individual member of this Council, I would ask that IT come and do a search of all of the equipment in my office and in my home, because I do have a computer and a printer fax in my home, and of course the BlackBerry, just in the meantime, so that we can get on this. There may be other members of council who want to offer the same, but to avoid having to wait for the week for the motion. So I put that on the table. I'm absolutely disgusted. I said in my email that this is, in my opinion, it's a cowardly act of someone afraid to make their opinion heard and prefers to hide behind the media. I suggest this person needs to have the decency and moral standards to say what they wish to say to those of us involved directly. And with that, I would ask if anyone wants to own up right now, publicly. Seeing no one. But so I make that request. Perhaps, Madam City Manager, you can have IT contact my office, and I'm talking about a search of my staff equipment as well as my own, and the equipment that is city owned that I have at home.
Don't crash the ambulance.
Thank you. Councillor Funcy.
Whatever you do.
Basically everything.